So I get all done with the first part of my workout, and now it's time to get on the treadmill, right? My not so favorite part. Those of you that have known me for a while and know me know that cardiovascular exercise is not my deal, man. I never did it when I was younger. In fact, I didn't even start until about a year and a half ago, and it has been one of the hardest things in the world to do is to incorporate that into something that I do regularly. I mean, I just absolutely hated it in the beginning. And now, even though I feel really good, in fact, I feel a lot better, I feel a lot healthier because I'm exercising cardiovascularly often, but it's still very, very difficult to get started. I mean, I get on the treadmill, and I mean, for the first, half mile, I'm just dragging, I'm huffing, I'm puffing, and everything inside of me goes, man, just stop, just do this tomorrow or something, because this is not fun, right? But something interesting happens at about the half mile mark while you're running, while you're jogging. My hair's a wreck, too. At about the half mile mark, it starts to seem easier, which is kind of silly considering that you've already gone a half mile. It should be getting progressively harder, but it's not. It begins to seem easier. At about the mile point, you're kind of in a rhythm, and you feel like, I could kind of do this all day. And then, for me anyway, at about a mile and a half, man, I want to start turning the speed up because I'm actually feeling pretty good. And then I'll continue that way until I get to about mile or 3 or maybe mile 4, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to die. And I'll start to back it down, right, and then eventually I'm done. The point is simply this, that it doesn't matter in what grade of shape you're in. I was talking to a guy who is an amazing runner. I mean, he runs like the wind. He runs about a 7:45 pace. The guy can go do 8 miles with a hangover. I mean, he's amazing. And my brother-in-law is actually a phenomenal runner, too. And he runs at about a 7:45, 8-minute pace. And he can do 8, 10 miles at the blink of an eye. The guy will go run a half marathon. He hasn't hit the pavement in a month. And I talk to these guys, and they tell me the same thing. They say, that first half mile is not good. it's hard. You want to quit. You're winded. It feels like your feet are clomp, clomp, clomp. It's painful. It sucks. That first half mile sucks. There's no better way to say it. It's just not good. And it's the same way for everybody. And what that got me thinking about was that anytime you're going to start something new or restart something that you had been doing habitually or consistently, but you've taken a break from, in the very beginning, it's going to feel like you're putting in way more effort than you should really need to. And you're really not going very far, and it's going to be painful, and it's going to hurt, and you're going to want to quit. But if you can just keep the pressure on for a brief period of time consistently and without fail and at the same intensity level, what will happen is it will begin to feel a little bit easier. And then after about that same amount of time over again, you'll feel like I could do this all day. And then in about that same amount of time, one more time over, you'll want to turn up the heat and work harder and go faster. In other words, it will become comfortable, it will become normal. But see, this happens to people when they don't understand this concept, and maybe they'll get a business going or something, and they'll find that they're in momentum. And they'll think, you know what, I'm going to check out, man. I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to go to the Bahamas. I'm going to go chill for a while, right? I'm going to take 2-3 weeks off and just kind of do what I want to do. And then when they go to get back into it, they realize that, number one, everything is slowed way down. And number two, they're working 2 or 3 times as hard as they were working before they took the time off, and nothing seems to be going anywhere. That's because of that law of inertia. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest wants to stay at rest. And it takes far more energy to get that train moving than it does to keep it going at speed. So here's the takeaway from this. If you're starting something new or doing something for the first time or restarting something, maybe you haven't worked out in a year and you're going to get back into it, or maybe you're going to start, you're going to start a business that has been shut down for a while. I mean, whatever the case might be. If you're either starting something new or you're starting something over again, understand that the first little while, maybe a month or 2 months or even 6 months, depends on the size of the project, right? That first little while is going to be really hard. You're going to work really hard, and you're not going to see a whole lot of results. But it will get easier, and then it will become regular, and then you'll want to crank the heat up, and you'll be able to work twice as hard, twice as long, and get 5 times the results. You'll get multiplied the number of results out of the effort you put in down the road. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you're in a project right now, and you've got momentum, and you've got things happening, and your life is moving in a positive direction, and everything is clicking on all 8 cylinders, and boom, 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 now is not the time to take a 3-week rest. You will crush every bit of momentum that you've got. If you've got to take a breather, take a weekend. 2 days, max, right? You know, if you're just so burnt out from working out, but man, you're making great gains, you know what? Take 2 days off. You know, if your business is crushing it and it's time to go on a vacation, take the kids to Disneyland for a 4-day weekend, but then come back and get right back in it and keep the pressure on. The time to double your efforts is when you're in momentum, because that will not double your results, but it will multiply your results. You want to experience exponential growth? Step on the gas when you're already in momentum. And that's the dose.